Detroit, Detroit is different. Detroit, Detroit is different. Culture and life we live in. Detroit, Detroit is different. Detroit, Detroit is different. Detroit, Detroit is different. Culture and life we live in. Detroit, Detroit is different.
Welcome back to the Detroit is Different podcast studios. And in the studio, I got a brother that was like, yo, let's get in the mix. And I've known him for a while for many different works. He offers a lot in creation, building, construction, creativity. And we love that because we already know that creativity is that connection to the divine. And what he's creating has a whole lot of that energy, spiritual energy, right? So what you may think of are just materials. He's empowering a lot of these materials. Mindful B. Anthony, how are you today, my brother?
Man, I'm doing my best to live in gratitude.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day.
I love that. Gratitude is definitely a space where we definitely want to be humble to just the blessing of life itself and all the experiences that we have had before us. So
indeed,
I'm with that. So these Detroit is Different always start with that Detroit story and generations deep. How many generations deep is your family to Detroit?
At least 4. Thinking back to my great-grandmother and great-grandfather, moved from Tennessee. And so, and pretty much 4 generations are all on the Lower East Side.
Okay.
I grew up with my great-grandfather 2 doors down. My aunt, my aunt is now 1 door down from that.
Okay.
Cousins, live next door. Now they're down the street. So my grandma who raised me is, we're all in this kind of contiguous block on the Lower East Side. So.
Okay. All right. Now, Tennessee, you mentioned. Whereabouts Tennessee?
Man, I couldn't even tell you, honestly. I'm a little ashamed, but I know both my great grandmother and great grandfather were from Tennessee, and separately both made their ways to Detroit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now that we look at that whole lens of Tennessee to Detroit, that journey, and they started out like in that community where you at now over to the East Side?
To my knowledge, I know the story from like basically my grandmother. My grandmother had been in that area a while, and then somewhere in her adult life moved to West Side, and then back to the East Side. So
okay,
been holding down that block for some generations now.
All right. So what block? What neighborhood? What main streets are we talking about?
Lower East Side, Van Dyke and Mack area.
Okay. Van Dyke and Mack, that's Mack Alive. We think about that community. We think of like so much energy in both places, thoroughfares, businesses, people, families, and you definitely got a family, you said, that's been there for 4 generations. Okay. What was it like for you as a child growing up over there? What do you remember?
Well, it's definitely changed a lot. I grew up closer to Butzel Family Center, and that school has changed a lot. It's changed names a few times, but I remember just being able to have fun in the neighborhood, play basketball in the alley, walking to elementary school. I went to went to Nichols Elementary on Burns. The area, I would say we had a little ice cream shop, a little arcade around there, then it closed. So you kind of notice the things over the years that are now, things are resurging, and places that were kind of closed down or had gone through shifts in my childhood, those spaces are being reactivated. And so it's good to see, especially when it's, locally, and, you see Black people coming back and activating those spaces. Really good to see.
Okay, and
The big shift is like 2 blocks down at Kirchville and Van Dyke, and it's a lot of things happening in that corridor as well. That not necessarily for the native Detroiters, but gentrification. My grandma's always been telling us, like, hey, no matter what you say about living in the hood, we live on a main bus line, Van Dyke, Burner, Mack, the Kirchville bus. We can walk to the river. Basically, she was just employed. She basically told us all the time that this area will always have value, and so make sure that you know where you are, and that they're going to be coming for this land, this area. She was right, and just seeing the transition of the area is something to behold.
What as you said, like a lot of those generations are there, as you said, great grandfather, aunts, uncles, but your grandmother definitely had a strong connection, as you've uplifted her a couple of times. What was your grandma doing? What was your family doing at the time? What do you remember them and their commitment to that community?
I would definitely say that my grandma took pride in the space that we grew up on. Right, I mean, we were right on Van Dyke, so we grew up seeing the cars, coming back and forth. It was, it was a main street. So she would always, as I said, express to us that pride in that block, like that she wouldn't be ran away, she wouldn't be priced out, even though she would make us aware that it was a challenge, it was a struggle. She chose not to, even when she could afford. So she was I want to say she was a relationship banker. She worked in the banks, and she had, I would say, a middle class job. But when she had the funds to move us to a different place, but in her wisdom, she decided that staying in this place, staying in this home, and not living above our means will be the better option. And so we had a pretty comfortable, I would say lower income upraising. But we definitely knew that we couldn't get the things that we really wanted, but we had what we needed.
Okay. All right. And this, were the other children in the neighborhood, like, were the other families kind of as connected? Did you have friends that had like a lot of other family members in the neighborhood as well?
I definitely have some friends I can think of that I went to elementary school with and started middle school with, and then I would see them, and when I went to a different middle school, I would still see them around. We would still, connect when we could. And that's where those alley basketball games
and
come
all
in,
of that
and all,
come into play. And
exactly.
Did they have like the same amount of relatives? Like, were there other families that kind of connected themselves to that neighborhood the same way that yours did?
Yeah, there were some families that held on for quite a while. I think of my friend Marcus. His family was on Maxwell pretty much all of my life. I literally just went in that area, and I think that they may have moved just like recently. But I went to middle school, high school, middle school, elementary school, middle school, high school, college. Came back from college, they were still there.
Wow. So when we think about this community, so people can kind of get it, as I say, it's a community that does have some business there, some main thoroughfare, as you uplifted in your grandma, but it's also kind of between Indian Village is very close to it. Along with Indian Village, on the other side is like, it's still like some touch of like industrial work over there. 48214 is one of those interesting zip codes in the city of Detroit, because almost every type of person kind of lives in that zip code. And when I say every type of person, meaning like it's
got the Mac and B Wick.
It's a millionaire,
and you got
and it's
Indian Village.
Yes, yeah. It's millionaires and people that may be millionaires in their own hearts, and you know what I'm saying. Just like figuring out piecing things together. You know what I'm saying. Like ends are meeting, and ends have beyond been met. You know what I'm saying. So that also like juxtaposed. Do you remember like kind of being in that space as a child, recognizing some of those differences as like certain things, as you say, start to change? As I didn't even know that neighborhood was called, like inside it is West Village, was called West Village until like it was like I look up and it's like restaurants and things popping up over here.
Mm-hmm.
Did you recognize that as a kid?
Oh yeah. So we knew there was a distinct difference between where we lived and then walking 3 blocks over and being in Indian Village. And that was one of my favorite things to do. We would just get in the car sometimes and ride up and down those streets and look at those, you know, big houses. Some of those houses have like 80 rooms, you know, just ridiculous, you know, contrast to our, you know, 3-bedroom house. And so definitely could feel the difference. And my elementary school, which is still there, Nichols, and I just went up there this week to sign up to volunteer. Because that school had a significant impact on me. I really enjoyed my time there. The school is right on Gothey and Burns, right in like one of the last streets of Indian Village. So you have to go through Indian Village in order to get to this school where, you know, a lot of the students are from the neighborhood, but there are some that are from either in the Indian Village or chose that school intentionally or don't live in the neighborhood and have various means, middle income, but there was a lot of low income. A lot of my classmates were low income.
Okay. What was it about that school as you talk about that connection being there? And then tip my hat to you for volunteering now. What was that connection being made there? Was it a class? Was it a teacher? What was the experience that connected?
Definitely. If the teachers were great teachers. I had, you know, I still remember, sometimes I challenge, my memory is challenged. I still remember certain teachers that left a lasting impact on me. I still see my math teacher, Miss Smith, and forgive me if that's not her, that's her maiden name for sure, but Miss Smith. And yeah, she imparted on me my love for math. You know, I did pretty well in school. I had a love for math, and I attribute that to her because she allowed us to do something that a lot of schools weren't doing, to my knowledge. Everyone was on their own track. You know, she would provide some education, and then when you got to a point where you were, you know, advancing further than the class, she didn't make you stay with the class. She would give you your own work. So I had the privilege of having her from the 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. And so, you know, by the time I'm in the 3rd grade, she's handwriting all of my work because, you know, me and whomever, you know, a few of the other students are advancing past the curriculum. And so I never forget that. And yeah, it was a few of us. I would say Mrs. Smith, Miss Harry, that was my homeroom teacher. She ended up being the principal for some time there. Lasting impact. Even some of the male teachers, you know, that you know, it's taboo now, but like I you know, they had us you know, I probably had a little bit of smart mouth back then. I was smart and I had extra time, whatever, joke around. Had us with dictionaries in our hands, you know, tea, old school style, or like, you know, I would do something that was, I don't even know what I did. It was out of order and ended up on the wall. And I didn't even have the guts to tell my grandma that it happened because I know she was going to ask me what I did.
Mhm.
And I didn't want to tell her what I did.
Mhm.
I don't remember to this day what I did, but
yeah. So you talk about like especially
teacher,
that
though.
experience of like moving forward and that connection with math. At that young age and pouring in, and it's like, okay, you're excelling at this. What do you think that triggered in your young mind, just so that people can kind of know, as a child may take on more than what sometimes you may say that child's ready for? What did that encourage in you?
Well, it paved, it created the foundation for me to excel and to just be comfortable being above average comprehension. I don't necessarily the PC way to say that, but
Yeah.
I excelled. I know let me go back up. I remember 4th and 5th grade. I'll never forget it. We used to do this game called Challenge 24. At least that's what my school called it. The 24 game. And it was like, it's an equation where you use all 4 numbers. You have to add it up to 24. And I remember to this day that I was the champion for 4th and 5th grade. And it was an heated competition because you're going up against people that have, getting 4.0s every semester. We used to have these elaborate pancake breakfasts for honor roll students, and you would get either a single layer trophy, but if you got 4.0 all 4 semesters, then you get a double decker trophy. Never got 4.0 all 4 semesters, but I remember my friend. I want to say from 1st grade to 5th grade, every year, she got it. I never forget her. Kang Kang. Shout out wherever you at. She was the one. But to answer your question, it paved the way for me to then I went to Butzel for 6th grade, and my grandma tells a story and says that I told the principal that I wasn't being challenged. And I think my words I used was I have a 4.0 and my work isn't hard. She kind of, added, grandma's add a little spice on there.
Yeah.
And so I ended up testing into Bates Academy, which is, school for the gifted and talented. And there it was a culture shock because I'm with other gifted and talented students. So when you're at a school that is, neighborhood school, and you're above average, you're gonna stand out. You go to a school where everybody's like, we from kindergarten to 6th grade, we've been getting this very intense education, high quality. It's a wake up call. It's like, oh, everybody's smart. Okay, we need to tighten up.
Okay. All right. So Bates, what was your Bates experience like?
I had a good experience at Bates. It's always challenging. You come into a school and, relationships already been formed since kindergarten to 6th grade. I came in halfway through 6th grade, so kind of had a little bit of edge. You got that, for like the first month, you like that new kid, and that can go either way. It kind of worked for me. But it was challenging for sure. There was a few teachers that definitely stood out, and anybody on my Bates family already knows. I got to shout out Mr. Holstein. We had so many. It's a great math teacher. Mr. Holstein my first experience going to academic games or playing equations, which was like fed off of that Challenge 24 game. And so academic games, you play equations and you do your best to like solve the problems, and you basically get good enough where you can go and represent your school against other schools and things of that nature. And we went to Brighton, Mount Brighton, and they would have this academic games tournament every year, and where we compete, and then we would go ski. And so we would always look forward to that trip. And I was going there even when my auntie, who was about 2 years older than me, was in academic games. So it was kind of like, a rites of passage in our family. That was pretty awesome. And so I want to say Mr. Holstein, phenomenal math teacher. Got to shout out Willie Bell Gibson, English teacher. I think she was my English teacher, 7th and 8th grade. She instilled in us the importance of sharpening your vocabulary, and she had instilled in us the importance of vocabulary skill building. So she had these VSB words, and at some point, she had this really unorthodox way of teaching, but it was just so she had such a pride in teaching style and in us. Like, she believed in us so much, so she challenged us a lot. And I really appreciate that, because I shout her. I probably talk about her at least a couple times a month. You know, I challenged myself when I got to college to not to curse, to use more affirmations and things. And that foundation was in having that vocabulary to be able to do so, and to continue to search for more words to express myself instead of using, you know, just common language that we're kind of get used to.
Okay. All right. So from elementary, middle, where do you go to high school?
So, good point. High school. So, you know, there's like these 3 magnet schools, you know, in Detroit, King, Cass, Renaissance. It's always like a battle which one is, and Cass, Renaissance would, you know. I went to Renaissance. Several of my friends, a lot of my friends were going there.
From Bates and Renaissance
like
is
either school,
you
know, either Bates to Renaissance or Bates to Cass. It was kind of probably about 50-50 or 60-40 in my year. And it was the whole thing again. Like, you go to a school where, you know, test to get in, everyone's smart. You have to level up. You have to, you know, put more effort into your learning. And, you know, I had a certain level of freedom that I was, you know, just, or rebelliousness that I didn't apply myself. So I was there for, you know, I guess I should back up. Meanwhile, I'm going to Bates, and I'm going to Bates with, you know, the sons and daughters of attorneys, lawyers, judges, accountants, you know, just people that have means. A lot of them even live in that
community.
That's Live 6 area that
and live in Palmer Woods or Sherwood Forest.
Yeah,
those communities.
So, and then they've built those relationships with each other. So it was a little challenging to kind of find my way.
And for people, let me frame this. That's a West Side community. He's definitely from an East Side community. So you also have the distance you're traveling. It's different too, culturally a little bit.
Absolutely, you hit it right on the head. So I wanted to paint this picture because you talked about kind of the upbringing from the East Side, my family, and things of that nature. My grandma, you know, she had to go to work. She had to do what she had to do to provide for us. So that meant that I had to get up and catch this Van Dyke bus at 6:15.
Whoa.
6:15.
So you take, let me guess this. Let me guess the bus route. So you would have to take the Van Dyke to downtown and then hop on from downtown. I'm thinking that you're going to take, you probably got to take like either the Southfield, the Greenfield. You got a couple options there, but still the weight on all those West Side routes is not the most fluid.
No, it was, so that was one route you could take. I would, you know, if I went downtown, I would have to take Van Dyke or the 48 back then. They changed all the bus numbers now, but it was, or the number 7, which is the Cadillac Kercheval bus downtown, or the Mack bus downtown, and then catch the Dexter.
Whoa, you took the 16. Yeah, I guess, the Dexter would go straight through.
The Dexter was, you know, it was
Yeah.
it snaked through the whole. You see a good part of Detroit. All the different.
As a Dexter rider too. Also, when you are a high schooler on the Dexter, you also go across a lot of high schools, and sometimes especially if you the high schooler that goes to like Renaissance or Cass, and you on the Dexter, it's like you going by Murray Wright, you going by Northwestern, you going by Central,
you going by and that's the whole
and
city.
You even going by Cass. You're right.
That's the city tour.
Whole, yes.
For the most part, my main route that I did the most was Van Dyke North to 6 Mile, and I catch the 30. I catch the 6 Mile bus all the way across town.
Okay.
And so that was my most common one.
Yeah.
Missed the Van Dyke North, in Van Dyke South. You already know what you got to do. And so I said that to say that from middle school, this is going to Bates.
You were doing that at Bates?
Bates.
Wow.
Going to catching the bus to middle school to Bates, and then it was the same route to Renaissance.
To Renaissance, yeah.
And so that allowed me to learn my city. I took pride in having a good navigation. My grandma would say she was on autopilot. She kind of wouldn't, she's like, which way we going or whatever. And I'd be able to tell her, we turning right on here, we turning left on here, and feel good about it because I'm paying attention to the progression of streets from the east side all the way to the west side, And so even to this day, I remember I can pretty much, I'm very comfortable in knowing my way around Detroit.
Yeah, you get so good taking that bus route. Sometimes you could like fall asleep and you just knew the bumps. It's like, oh yeah, this is my stop.
Yep. And then even when you miss that stop, you know exactly what you got to do to. So I just wanted to bring that back to what you were saying before about the upbringing. Like it's a difference in coming from lower income, taking a bus when a lot of these people are getting dropped off. But we had our faithful crew, our eclectic bus crew. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We all met up and took that 6 Mile bus across town. Some people coming from deep east also tested in, and so that's that's like the backdrop. But I wasn't focused. I was focused on
other stuff,
other things, girls. You know what I'm saying? Skipping school. I skip school and go try to go see my girlfriend, and it didn't hit me till later that she wouldn't skip school for me, but I'm skipping school when she's out of school. I'm trying to skip school to see her, and it was just like my priorities
weren't lined up.
Not lined up.
So
I didn't keep up with that. So I went 2 years
to Renaissance.
2 years of Renaissance, but I made a choice. I made a choice, and I don't regret it because I still have a lot of my Renaissance friends and connections and things of that nature. And I'm not an alumni, but I'm still very much a part of that crew, that legacy. And I had a choice to make sophomore year to either go to summer school or like be expelled. But I had either, and my choice was I had a choice to go on a college tour or go to summer school. Which one do you think I chose?
College tour.
All day, every day. And it was a phenomenal experience. I got to go hang out with my god brothers. We all went down to Atlanta. We went to stop by Bowling Green. We went to the whole Atlanta tour. Atlanta, Clark Atlanta, Georgia State, Morehouse, Emory, did the Georgia Tech, and that was definitely a formative trip. I always knew I was going to be going to like it was in my way my grandma raised us. It was college was never really an option. It was what was expected. Okay,
so where do you pick up with high school?
So
because technically where you stay, I think you possibly could go to King, even though Southeastern's right there. But I don't know.
So I was right on the
borderline
of King, Southeastern, and Kettering.
Okay.
You say take Van Dyke straight up.
Yeah, Kettering, good point. Yeah.
Mack straight down, that's Southeastern. Van Dyke straight, Van Dyke bus down, Van Dyke Lafayette bus down, and that's
King.
That's King. So I ended up going to Southeastern. And so
the Lears.
Yeah, Lears. And I had made the decision once I didn't go back to Renaissance that that whatever I did, I'm gonna focus, I'm gonna tighten up, learn my lesson. It was an ego check.
Yeah.
It was a check, like, you can't just skate. Because I was used to, I want to say I was used to, because I went to Bates and I got a taste of it there, but it still hadn't hit. I wanted to have fun. I wanted to, like, I was in a band. I enjoyed that. And just was, like I said, unfocused. So when I got to Southeastern,
it was all focused.
I was focused.
Also, and I had a similar story because I started at King in the MSAT program. Then you go to Northwestern. So, like, I know enough juggaliers to know Northwestern and Southeastern have a similar culture too. So it's like the level, like I always say, like the level of focus at like a school that's there versus another type of school. It's like, okay, this is, love my people, but it's like, this is a whole nother level of chaos. So it's like, let me stay grounded in the nerd circle over here. So I can only imagine that, going to South SE, it was like, it's just a whole different culture.
Yeah. And even going to, at Nichols, I was smart, cool, funny. Yeah. Just elementary school, middle school, went to it. Like I said, went to Butzel, then went to Bates, and I'm still seeing all my Butzel people.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you think you too good? You left us, kind of joking, but we still cool though. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of us, we went to middle school. We went to elementary school together. And I still see them in the hood.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go to, and then when I go to Bates, I'm like, all these relationships are formed. There's like, I'm like in I'm with the uncool kids. I'm with the people that's like not children of the doctors and the lawyers and the, like, we kind of have our own cool, but we cool being uncool.
Yeah.
So it was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we joke a lot, laugh, what I'm saying, talk about games and, all the like weird nerdy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we was cool with that. And similarly in high school, I wasn't cool in high school either. I was like, I was myself.
Mm-hmm.
But it took me a little while to kind of find myself in, in high school, because it was like another level up.
Mm-hmm.
You go from middle school to high school, all the things that are coming in, and then you got girls.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I just wasn't in a popular crew, but it was like somewhere in the middle where, like, I know I'm not in a popular crew, but I'm cool where I'm at.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that was the type of people that
you were with.
Yeah.
All right. So after SE, you said college and this journey. Where do you go to school?
So from SE, I got to tell the SE story. When I went to SE, shout out to Jungleers. When I went to SE, I hunkered down. I still, no shade, because Brenda Gatlin she was on us.
Oh, 1 second. Time out.
BG.
Principal Gatlin. Principal Gatlin from Cass Tech to Southeastern, and I did different tours of schools and stuff. Boy, Principal Gatlin,
she didn't play.
She would be on like even though that was a neighborhood school, it was run like she knew every kid's name.
Mm-hmm.
Like to the point of like if it was a piece of paper on the floor, she'd be like, Mr. Andrew, pick that up.
Yep. And she made sure you knew the whole name of the school. Southeastern High School of Technology, Academy of Automobile Engineering and Design. And I can't say Southeastern without saying the Academy of Automotive Engineering and Design. School of tomorrow.
Gatlin was no joke.
And so she reminded me of Willie Bell Gibson, but with just a different flair, charisma, because she would be on the mic.
Oh yeah,
she'd be on the mic, throwing them VSB words out there.
Mhm.
You know, I need you to work assiduously hard. You know, I knew what it meant, but it was just like she would not let up. She would make sure that you were introduced to these words, and that she would always be shouting out whoever is striving towards excellence. I remember I did a science fair project and got like first place. I'm telling you, when I tell you for about a month, it seemed like she announced it every day. And so I excelled there.
That's cool.
I excelled there. I think the first time I had a 4.2 at one point. I didn't even know you could do that. But, you know, I was taking
advanced placement because from all of the credits you already had. Yeah.
Advanced placement, AP calculus, AP on the science classes. I can't remember. But yeah, I was excelling. I made sure that I was still, and I was in band. I had a really great time in band. And then I was also in the choir, and shout out to Mr. Bose, everybody in Voices of Southeastern Bose. Yeah, so I had that experience, and I knew that it allowed me to kind of compensate for my poor subpar performance at Renaissance.
Yeah,
and use that with my
overall
went up. Oh yeah,
way
sure.
up.
Graduated, and I know I was did a honor society and all that good stuff. So from there, I went to Hampton University.
Oh, Hampton.
Yeah.
What was it about Hampton that drew you down there?
So I was familiar with. So the one they had, I was going for pharmacy. Pharmacy, and they had. I had experienced their band, so I went to the. So I can't remember which bowl it was, but it was at Ford Field.
Oh, you went to the Motor City Classic originally.
Yeah, yes. But I think there was another one too. I'm trying to think. It was called. Was it called the Motor City Bowl? It was called something else.
Motor City Classic originally.
Motor City Classic. Okay, yeah. So I went to that a couple years, and I got to see
their band.
Their in the marching force, and I saw people that I was in the band with in Renaissance. They had graduated Renaissance and went to Hampton. So I felt familiar. And then also their band was excellent.
What did you play?
Tuba.
Okay. All right. And so did you visit the campus and VA and get any of that culture before you went?
No.
Okay.
That's
all right.
Whole,
because I was going to say
whole story.
VA culture. Okay. It's like, because oftentimes, because people always say Hampton versus Howard. Hampton and Howard, if you have a vehicle, are relatively close, depending on DC traffic.
Right, always.
But the culture of Hampton, Virginia, like when you watch those documentaries on like Michael Vick and Allen Iverson or Alonzo Mourning, it's different. That's all. It's shout out to VA, but it's just you got to be ready for that feel. And shout out to Bryce. He was talking about his Hampton journeys, but what was it like for you?
So I loved my HU experience. I was challenged by the of course I told you I was in the band. So you asked the question, did we go first? No. So I got there, and again, humble background. First person to go out of state to school. My grandma went as a college graduate. Her youngest daughter was a college graduate at the time. Hadn't graduated college, but was in college at the time, but was in at UAD Mercy.
Yeah.
And so I'm the first to go away. We filling out the FAFSA. We get the estimated family contribution. It was 0. So we thinking that, we got, we go there and we gonna get some money.
Yeah.
Because, how else you interpret that?
Yeah.
Estimated family contribution is 0, right? That means that,
they ain't got nothing.
We qualify. Got up there. They said, full tuition is due.
Whoa. Whoa.
Full tuition. At that time, probably
HBCUs aren't cheap.
private. Hampton's private.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like, I want to say 14,000 plus 6 or 7,000 room and board,
Mm-hmm.
21 G.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were planning to pay 0.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had a decision to make, which, and my grandma, bless her heart, I love her so much. She was determined. She was determined. We had a decision to either turn back around after we drove 14 hours to back to Detroit. And she was like, nah. So she had a friend that had connections with the band. So we went to speak to band director. I got a audition. I got a partial scholarship. They didn't have the semester had already already started. Like the band camp had already started.
Yeah,
they had already spent the money. Someone had just recently left, so there was a position, but there wasn't a lot of money. So it had like a partial scholarship. And so the rest of it, my grandma took out a Parent Plus loan. Those famous, infamous Parent Plus loans, and that's how I ended up at Hampton.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and that put a significant strain on my household. My grandma really didn't, here and there, but she never penalized me for that. She just, we had to do what we had to do, but I knew that it was a significant strain.
It was heavy.
It was a significant strain. And I then began to, feel over the next coming years, I would feel I love to learn. My challenge with Hampton wasn't that it was the business of education that's put between me and my learning. And it's not something that Hampton has a monopoly. This is the institution of education, the business of education. And it really soured my heart, my spirit towards continuing. I got to, I'm majoring in pre-pharmacy, and it's a very rigorous, no room for missing a class or not registering for the right class. It's very rigorous, 6-year program, et cetera, et cetera. You miss one class, if you fail one class, it's only offered in the fall. That's not only another semester you have to pay for, you only can get in the pharmacy school once a year. And that's a whole nother year of tuition.
Yeah.
That you now have to do in order to be on track.
And also you're in the band too.
I'm in the band, which is
the HBCU
significant
band
time.
Is almost like being
that's a job.
What an athlete would be at a lot of other schools.
Absolutely.
Like that Drumline movie, I think, is probably more parallels to truth than.
It's a lot of accuracies in there, and we took a lot of. That was definitely one of my highlights of my college experience. The connections and relationships that I made in college, in the band and beyond. But because of the big brothers that I had in my tuba section, shout out Lowdown, and because of my relationships that I had, I was able to have like a mentorship, be okay with, not being in being an alpha or a sigma or, kappa or anything like that. I was already cool with it.
Yeah.
So I didn't need to, not saying that everybody does it for this, but I didn't need to feel like be a part of something for approval or status or anything like that. I was already my own. I had become my own man through the processes of the band that we're not going to talk about.
Yeah, pharmacy and band, it's like that's where I'm saying like,
double rigorous. And I'm taking, while other folks are taking very easy
intro
general
to
ed
like,
classes,
psychology or something.
I'm taking math, science classes all day back to back, and then throwing the humanities here and there. You know what I'm saying? So it was definitely rigorous, but I was here for it. But like I said, when that business of education got jumped in, it was like you pay your money, scrape it up however you can. You got to then you have to deal with, so pay the money up front, then you got to deal with the office of the registrar, which you would think would make sure that once you pay the money and you're on this particular track, that you have to get into these classes. No, there is no guarantee that you get into the classes even after you paid the money. Paid the $20,000, goes up if $500, $600 every semester. And so at one point it was what 22 G's. I'm sure it's probably closer to 30 now.
Yeah.
And so, you have to fight to get into the classes that you absolutely need in order to not be behind. This isn't even talking about actually passing the class. This is just getting in the class.
Yeah.
And getting and maybe even avoiding that one class that that teacher is notorious for failing people.
Yeah, ratemyprofessor.com.
I wish we knew. So that happens a couple times, and then it's like I have a decision to make. This is now an economic, financial decision, because beyond like the weed out courses like organic chemistry, which was like you get. I don't remember the teacher name. It's probably for the best, but there was a couple teachers that were just notorious for like this is a weed. They know that this is the weed out course.
Yeah,
we're meant to thin the herd.
Serious and wait.
We're even beyond that, just like to go above and beyond to make it difficult, like a barrier between you and your education. Just too much.
Yeah.
So I had to make a decision. Okay, I'm not getting the classes. I'm not getting into the classes that I need. And now this is going to cost a year. This happened a couple times, 2 or 3 times. And now I have to choose. I have to make a decision because that's 1 to 2 more years of $20,000 to $22,000 that I don't have.
Yeah.
Right. And even if you say, okay, I'm gonna stay off campus, you still got to pay rent. So it's still, you still got to come up with money either way. And so I made a choice to switch to. I took an entrepreneurship class or as an elective, when I couldn't get into the class that I needed to get into. I forgot what it was, but it was essential. And when I took this entrepreneurship class, it clicked like it's clear as day. And I was so inspired, but I was also angry that I had to go to college to learn about entrepreneurship. That like, why wasn't I taught about this in any part of my matriculation through? And it wasn't like I didn't go to
schools that had the most prominent schools.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, part of that could have been me. I was, I never saw an entrepreneurship course or any of my math classes or any of the, I did miss VOTEC because I spent 2 years Renaissance, and then when I got to Southeastern, it was already too late.
Yeah,
for whatever reason. But and I don't know too many other people that have had, it's a common critique of the educational system that we're not taught about entrepreneurship.
Well, as a person that went to a business school that says entrepreneurs want it, and I often give this critique, and shout out to Walsh, but it's like employee school. There are many lessons to learn in entrepreneurship. There are many things in grounding. I feel guilty at times because I've seen it through my dad and my granddad like my whole life. So
as far as entrepreneurship?
Yeah. So like how certain people look at like, oh, a side hustle. If I had a job, it's like, this is a side job. Like people were like, what you doing with a job? You know what I'm saying? Like I've been grounded in that my whole life. The degree, I think, provided it's like languages to speak. So it's like a ground setting and a basis where now it's like, okay, I can do a needs assessment. I know what a scope of work is. It's certain things, a feasibility study, certain things in business that like I can just have like, okay, I know what you're talking about. With that being said, some of those lessons in entrepreneurship, it's like I've just seen it. So it's a lot different for me. And I definitely think for like the schools, it's very difficult because some of the best people in entrepreneurship, they out there doing it, you know?
And so that course really
opened your eyes
to this world of like self-sufficiency, this word of self-sufficiency. And it's like, okay, yes, I understand everybody. It's not realistic for everyone to be an entrepreneur, but it felt like it was intentional. It felt violent. It felt like it was like it's intentional for us to, you know, kind of breeding a generation of workers,
but
which is,
and I want to uplift this, as I've said this on Detroit is Different before too. Okay. Public school was offered to Americans as a public good, not because it's like ever was about empowering children to know how to navigate life. It was about taking the agricultural worker and making them an industrial worker. Right. That's why you have the bells. That's why, like, I mean, America's first public high school, like, you know, Central High School down the street, right? So like Central looks like a lot of what those factories look like. It's hard to think about life like this, but when we had an agrarian society and most people are coming from fields and farming and what that is to run in the agricultural way, and then you put them in a plant, I mean, you know, and this is way before ocean stuff. Like people are like dying in plants and walking away. And it just, you needed people to even just learn how to read, to get the instructions, to use these machines. So like the builders of these systems, like the Andrew Carnegies, the Van Burens, these titans of industry are investing in educational systems. So now we can take these agrarian workers and make them industrial workers.
Yep. Not only that, don't get me started on the Carnegies and all of them. Just their investment in what it means to be educated, just even what you're taught in schools.
But all of it is to, as we say, like to get this person to be a part of a system, which is tough now with like my generation and your generation, and I'm older than you, but definitely me, my whole life, this industrial America that was created no longer exists because the success of an Andrew Carnegie and a Van Buren was like to say, I have millions of employees. That means my company's amazing. Right now, that is not a measurement of success. So, you know, the quote unquote jobs that my whole life, every governor in Michigan has talked about bringing back never will come back. Because the industrial age no longer is present in this society.
Yeah, it's not incentivized. It's not a goal.
No,
not a goal.
No,
and it's even you being real nice about it too, because it's a little more malicious than that. Because you start talking about these same big families, these dynasties, engineering, the medical industry.
I mean, as that right now is the prevalent industry of today. As they say, like this is the information technology age, but medicine, and it's interesting because this moves right into healing and some of the questions I was going to go into. Yes, right now, the medical industry is the number one industry in America. And like when I was a kid, like I said, I'm a little older than you, but you turn on the TV, you always saw car commercials. And I'm not saying you don't see car commercials, but now you see pharmaceutical commercials, hospital commercials. And it's one of those things where it's like for a hospital to exist, you need people to be sick.
Yes. Oh.
It's like I'm not in the business of hospitals if people are healthy. that whole, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure is not how you're looking at stuff. You want the pound of cure because you can sell that, not the ounce of prevention. And you're in this space also learning certain things in pharmacy. And even that, sometimes you're not even necessarily stepping back and taking a look at what's going on. And I know you're into healing properties through different materials.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when do you, I know I'm like jumping so many stories here, but
it's all good.
When do you start making this connection?
So I'm glad you said that because I jumped over a whole thing. So when I was young, I wanted to be an archaeologist. I wanted to be then I wanted to be an underwater explorer.
Interesting.
And then one day, someone came in with a nice suit and a good smile and said, "I'm a pharmacist and I make over $100,000.
Wow!
And I'm in and I help people." And I was like, "I want to help people. I want to make a lot of money. My family could use a lot of money. I'm gonna be a pharmacist. I can do that, And that's how it happened.
Yeah,
I have to always continue to remind myself that was the origin.
catalyst.
That was the catalyst. That was the origin story of me shifting from more natural. Because I started off wanting to know about the earth and nature and things of that nature. And it's funny how cyclical things are. Full circle back around to, in a different way, back around to more natural approach. So I realized that, I was looking for more of the, I had to choose. I had to make a choice. Like, I realized that not only were I not getting the classes that I needed, I had to spend more money to do this. And this is a business, and I'm not really a student. I'm a number.
Yeah.
And that's not a shot to Hampton per se. I'm talking about the whole institution of the business of education. And so I realized that I wanted to, I did not want to be paid to make people sick. I didn't want to just be a well-paid pill pusher. And that's what I was more and more I learned. And mind you, when you're in college, one of the best parts of college is the network. So, we are, when we're not in school, sitting by, we're, I moved off campus by then. Second year, I was over the campus life, dormitory life. But, we, relax. We're watching documentaries. We're chilling on a regular basis, playing some dominoes. On a regular basis, we're having conversations about the world. And I'm coming into knowledge and learning more about.
And what era is this too? Like, when you give it like early 2000s, mid 2000s.
So this is So I went to Hampton fall 2007.
So you're looking at like right before Barack Obama is elected.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So my sophomore year was like, we were the first, that generation, that class of people, that was our first year of voting for president. And
wow.
It was a lot of pride that we took. And I mean, that's a whole.
And I mean, I know that's a whole other hard reality. But at the same time, that still stamps what's happening at the
Absolutely.
time.
And then
how information is being proliferated. That's a completely different YouTube than today. That boy, talk about the stuff you can watch on YouTube then. It was it was like, whoa, you know what I'm saying?
And so, watching documentaries, learning, like, upgrading my worldview, expanding my worldview to, realizing that I really wanted the pharmacy, the farm, the green. I wanted the greenery. And I was being groomed to more so. I'm a salesman of the oil industry. I mean, I'm talking about, again, it goes back to the Carnegies and changing the medical the way medical students are learning so that they are pushing pills. And meanwhile, he's owning the petroleum, the pushing people away from calling holistic health spookism and all this other things, and gearing people away from the common things that people just knew. Just knew to take these natural remedies, but pushing people away from that so that they're taking these petroleum-based products, which were pills. And so, meanwhile, he owns these things. So it's like when you actually look at it, it's pretty diabolical how the medical industry has been shaped and weaponized against us. And I realized I didn't want to be part of that, no matter how well paid. And that was a sacrifice. That's a huge sacrifice of my, that was a moral decision from my perspective.
And this is also like right now we can watch documentaries on it, but this is also when you talk about medical families and hierarchies. This is active during the Sackler family's relationship with opium that sparks a lot of the opioid crisis that still prevalently, especially when they say that you're looking at, middle-aged black men is more than likely the highest likely to be dying of opium overdoses. That's why we see a lot of these Narcan billboards in and around communities everywhere. So this is running concurrent, and just Google the Sackler family. But my bad. I just want to uplift that it's happening at that time too.
And so this is also, meanwhile, I'm being my morals are dissuading me from the pharmacy track, and my what's exciting me about community development, what my community need is more people that are thinking outside of the box, which is how I looked at solution-based thinking and entrepreneurship. The whole purpose is to, create solutions to community needs from that standpoint. And so your question earlier was, kind of how do you get from this field to
that where you are now,
more natural. And I have to say that research, and I was learning about different everything from like the origin of the financial system. I'm learning about the origin of the healthcare system, the origin of these things, and I'm like, everything was pushing me towards a more holistic route. And then meanwhile, I wasn't even going to finish school. I was completely happy with not finish. I did 3 years, then I went away. I went to Eastern Shore, Maryland, in the country, and I was there for a year, and I was at peace. City boy. I needed a break. I went to the country, and I needed that time off to gather myself. And then I had basically an epiphany that was like, 3 years in, the best way out is through. It's not going back. So I gathered myself. I gained some more spiritual tools. I went back and I said, I'm going to go back. This year's on me. First 3 years was on each of my grandmothers, my mother's side and my father's side, taking those parent plus loans out. This year was on me. And so I took my loan out to get, and I had work study program as well, and knocked it out. Every day I got up, I was sun gazing. I was doing mantras. I wrote out all of my, quotes. I had quotes and affirmations all over my room. And because I needed that inspiration, I needed that boost, I needed constant. And that was around the time where I decided that I was going to change my language. I was going to, because when you change, they say when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And when you change the words you use, and we create the world with our words, more worlds and opportunities open up. And so, for me, every day walking over that bridge from downtown Hampton, where I was staying, over that Settlers Landing, just the name, Settlers Landing, is the street that that goes into the border of Hampton University. Whole another story, but walking over that bridge, sun gazing, listening in my headphones, MP3 player to dating myself, but MP3 player to a recording of me saying my mantras and me saying them out loud. And so that was the kind of determination that I needed to finish that 4th year of school.
That's deep.
And I knocked it out with the support of some very, very amazing teachers. I remember I had to take a CLEP test, and I was for Spanish, and I know I didn't. I probably, but I got some assistance, some support in finishing that test, because that was the only thing standing between me and graduate.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to tell that story because it was a great deal of determination and a lot of cognitive dissonance that I had to move through, expanding my worldview, and still like realizing that this, based on my upbringing, this is what was expected of me, to present this degree. It was either a degree or prison. That was all the options that was given to many of us. When it was, it was when we talk about, your opportunities in life.
Yeah.
What you're going to choose, and maybe you substitute a degree for a skilled trade.
Yeah.
But it's still something, right?
Yeah.
And so I found myself studying, learning, connecting with, coming back to the city. I met Tawana. She knew that I was kind of like, where are the people at? Where are the people that I want to connect with as far as community builders?
And now let me ask this too, because I always ask this for any of those journeys away. Now you're coming back, obviously visiting and seeing, but coming back visiting is different than coming back and living, especially from the experiences that you've seen. And you just said it best. You know what I'm saying? When you, what you've seen changes when you see the world differently. What are you seeing when you come back to Detroit? And I'm guessing this is like the 2010 era.
Yeah, 2010 to 2012, I'm visiting back. And then 2012, I come back and graduate and come back. And
so 2012, you're back in the city of Detroit. What does it feel like? What does the neighborhood feel like? What does Detroit feel like to you?
So 2012, I come back and pretty much I go to a conference at the Ecumenical Theological Seminary, and that where I met Tawana. Met Tawana Petty. Shout out Tawana. She told us some of that story at Honeycomb told some of that story at about Artist Festival about how I was, a young man looking for a connection and was kind of had my foot out the door of Detroit because I wasn't making those connections like I wanted to. And so through going to that event, I connected to other people doing work. So I ended up being a water rights advocate, working with people, We the People in Detroit.
Shout out Monica Lewis Patrick.
Shout out Monica, Auntie Monica, Auntie Debbie, all of them, but all of the founders of We the People of Detroit.
Wow.
And at that time in Detroit, we're seeing, land grab. We're seeing emergency management forced on the people. We're seeing the water rights being snatched from the people. We're seeing, Belle Isle being it was still in the process of being taken over by the state. We're seeing a lot of corporate takeover, and we're seeing this narrative of it's Detroit's fault. This whole contrived bankruptcy. It's a whole nother story. But you're seeing this takeover, and I'm just compelled to get involved. Right. So I spent much of the rest of 2012, 2013, like almost full-time active. I was going to all the meetings. I was going to Moratorium Now. I was going to the People's the People's Water Board. I'm pretty much living at the Cass Corridor Commons. Like all the meetings, all of the things that I can connect to, I'm doing that. Meanwhile, my family's like,
what's going
that's
on?
Cool. Like, what do you do? Like, but what are you doing? Like, what I'm saying? I'm having a hard time paying my rent. My roommate's mad at me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so, I I had to, find that balance. This is before I'm like even I meet my mentor and start learning about energy tools and things of that nature. But I'd have to tell the story because I've lived many different lives, even as like 36-year-old man. And so it's like I've been I started off as an activist, community builder, fighting all of the, in land grabs, housing insecurity. I kind of cut my teeth in that area and learned, I worked on Monica Lewis Patrick's campaign for mayor. I'm sorry, campaign for city council.
Yeah.
And being able to meet, and I guess I have to say this as well. I spent a lot of time on Iron Street, off of Jefferson and Mount Elliott.
Yeah.
And so that had played a big role. So meanwhile, I got Tawana on one ear telling me about like, okay, this stuff going on. Don't leave Detroit, and the Bog Center. Because at that time she was doing a lot of work with the Bog Center, and Detroit Summer. That was the event. Detroit Summer 2012. On this side, and then the other side, I'm connecting with Mama Sheila Hale Everett's. Sheila Everett Hale, and through that woman, bless her heart, love you, Mama Sheila. She connected me to that corridor. That was before they knocked it down. It's a big parking lot now.
Yes,
but
I know.
But it used to be, Urban Threat Management Center over there. It used to be 36th Chamber, University of Martial Arts there, and the lofts. We just call them the lofts.
Yeah,
she had a loft in there that I would go there, and we would have different workshops, things of that nature. Through her, I met Queen Afua. I met so many different elders and leaders, and that put me in different positions to utilize my skills of being a convener, being an organizer, being an educator, utilize these skills that I've learned at school, utilize these skills that I've learned through observing community builders in my circle. And so that when I saw that corridor, there used to be a wall of murals there. I don't know if you remember that. There was a warehouse, and there was kind of gutted out, but you can only see the one wall. There was a wall of murals, beautiful murals on that side, and that was kind of like it was like an artist corridor. And then you had the lid at the end. There was like a little speakeasy spot. You go in there and you see people. They're got a little makeshift bar in there. They got people doing just a random music video in the middle of the floor. You got people performing. You got people painting, and this is the Detroit. This is the type of people I wanted to be connected to, and I was looking for.
And you found them.
And I found them, and it clicked to me. I can see myself staying in Detroit. I didn't want to leave. I wanted to.
You wanted to find that community.
I told myself, yes, you can go somewhere else. And my older cousins was like, whatever you do, because they coming from a different perspective. They're like, whatever you do, don't come back to Detroit. Don't come back. That was what people are my older big brothers of the community would tell me, like, don't come back, because they talking about their own lived experience. And they don't want that.
An opportunity, and they don't see the opportunities here.
Right.
But you found community.
Exactly.
When do you, because I know we get into a close now, but I definitely got to get you back, because you dropping some game and highlighting some stuff.
Yeah,
but
man. We did the origin story. I wish we had a little more. Yeah, I had a lot of stuff I wanted to get to, but it's cool though. It's cool though.
But when do you get into the healing properties of the materials you use?
So, it's a good question. So, people ask me this all the time, and it's like it's so many different routes. I just feel like it's kind of like Thanos. Like it was inevitable. Whether you want to talk about the financial, learn about the nature of the financial system, which caused me to learn more about like how do you hedge against financial collapse, things of that nature. Learned about the importance of precious metals. I couldn't afford platinum, couldn't afford gold, could barely afford some silver coins. And so, I remember when I started learning about the importance of precious metals, I was saving the OG copper pennies, the ones from like 82 and before. That was, that started in college. And so, because I didn't have any money, I remember I did a test, one of our economics classes. They had us choose different companies to invest in and see what they would do.
Yeah.
I chose negative beta company. Negative beta companies are companies that do well when it's an economic downturn. And so, that's like, tow truck companies, the kind of companies that are gonna be around. They gonna, you know what I'm saying?
The pawn shop.
Those exactly. But and then I also chose the precious metals. Precious metals had shot up. And so from that perspective, I learned about. I had an affinity for precious metals, copper being one of them, and I learned about chakras and the different crystals that are related to them, the different practices that are related to each one of the energy centers of the body. And I'm going to African World Festival. I'm seeing different artisans. I'm seeing Timbuktu Art Colony. I'm seeing just the culture there. And then I meet my mentor, Yozi. So I might see him running around the city on his bike with his shades, Mr. Copper in copper. You see him with copper and silver on. And I met him and I bought my first piece from him. And I started buying pieces for myself. People would buy them off my fingers. And so
it's almost like, this is weird. It really was led through others connecting through you.
Say more.
Meaning like, as I always say, like in entrepreneurship or business, if it's others that lead you to it, it's something about that. So it could be like something of like, I don't know, you make a sandwich. And then it's like, oh, let me make you a sandwich. And it's like, yo, I will buy one of these. And then the next person say like, yo, make another one, I'll buy it. Then the next person's like, I'll buy it. Then the next person's like, I'll buy it. You're going to get into that sandwich making business differently than the person that's like, I think people want sandwiches and I think I can make a sandwich that people want.
Correct. It's
the demand
an experience.
Is already there.
Absolutely. And so, fast forward, people are wanting to buy these rings off of me. I'm telling him, we built a relationship. I keep buying pieces from him, and he eventually tells me like, "No, you can do this." And I'm like, "Nah." I mean, I like what we got going on, but he was signaling to me that I'm a nomad. You may not always find me. Yeah. You see me under the bridge at Eastern Market, but that I didn't listen, and I went to look for him to fill an order. He wasn't there.
Wow.
And I had to make a choice. Either I had to tell this person I can't fill their order, I got to give them their money back, or I'm going to do what he showed me to do and fill this order myself. And so that's how I started.
When you made that first piece, did it feel natural? Were you nervous about it? What was the take?
Absolutely. And then I was nervous, and it took me a while to get it, but it was a simple enough. It was a simple spiral. It was me in my own way. But then when I wanted to go and level up, then I went back to him, sat down with him, paid him for his time. Say, yo, I want to level up my craft. And the distinction was that I wanted to do more educating. So I would lay out crystals by the chakras. I'm doing education. You more so like catch me on the fly. Here's what I already made. Yeah, I'll make you a custom one, but I'm creating a whole experience. And fast forward, I branded them as energy tools disguised as jewelry.
Yeah,
because all of these pieces, all of these different metals have various properties. The copper promotes circulation in the body, grounding the body, pulling toxins out of the body, amplifying the properties of the crystals when it's put with them. And we see copper all around us. We use it, even in these microphones.
Yeah.
They don't work without it.
Yeah.
And so the different properties I liken them to, like just like the magnets are pieces of iron ore or highly magnetized metals that have these properties. Other properties are, and they have those properties because they've been cooked in the earth, different pressures, different depths, and there's thousands of or millions of other minerals and metals that have been paired, cooked, and baked in the earth over millions of years that have different properties. Not everything's going to be magnetic, but it just makes sense that they would have other properties.
The balance. I'm big in the yin and yang. If it's up, it's down, right, left, all of those balances, and it's deep. How have people responded more so? Like who are the people that connect most with your works? And I'm sure some are just for fashion, but I'm sure some are for other reasons. How have people connected?
And it's 2025, so this is 11 plus years in creating my own pieces. And I tell you stories that I hear, people come back to me and say, you were my first experience. I got my first crystal from you. Or I got my first piece from you, and I still have it.
Wow.
Or tell me their experiences with just on how it sparked their spiritual journey.
Wow.
And where they are from then and where they are now.
Mm-hmm.
And it means a lot to me to see that, because you never know how people are experiencing it unless it comes back full circle. So you just have to, for me, 11 years in, I love when people say, yo, I see people wearing your pieces all over the place, and they'll tell me, like, it's gotten to the point where somebody be like, that's a mindful B piece.
Mm.
Or they don't, if they don't know where they got it from, they're asking them, is that a mindful B piece? So I was like, yeah, I got it from this brother, and they'll describe me, and they'll be like, yeah, that's him. Is this his page?
Yeah.
So,
okay.
It's 11 years in, it's a little hood famous, and do my best to okay, how do I appreciate that energy and take it to the next level? So I'm always, going to different gym shows and looking for the next thing. So how can I create another collection that's going to resonate with people? Ankh Life collection, the Healed Heart collection, the Cosmic collection. And how can I inspire people? Like the term culture creator really resonates with me as far as part of what I do. I learned that, like I said, I've lived many different lives. In the cooperative development, we didn't even get into think tank development, being a systems thinker, the whole activist stuff we touched on, traveling a lot. And now, being full time for, I would say, about 5 years now, I've been able to bring all of those different modalities together and have them have expression in my craft.
That's beautiful. So with that, how do people connect with you if they want to get some of the pieces?
So you can find me on Instagram, Mindful BEE, and then my website is mindfulbee.shop. That's mindful, MINDFUL, B like bumblebee, mindfulbee.shop. And the website is mindfulbee.shop. Check out my Instagram. You can message me. You can find my work at we just did a recent Indie Fest, which was really, really a beautiful experience. It was my first fashion show where I was not just collaborating with a fashion designer, but I was actually the featured designer. So you see my models wearing their all white and adorned in crowns, necklaces, rings, staffs. And you can see us at the Michigan Fashion Week. I'm not sure when this is going to air. Michigan Fashion Week is coming up again. I remember we did a short interview a couple years ago at Michigan Fashion Week. So this is full circle.
Yeah.
Michigan Fashion Week, the last weekend of September in Detroit. This will be my second opportunity being a jewelry designer on my own. Last time I was just a vendor.
Yeah.
And this time I am actually in the show as a designer. So
that's beautiful.
I'm truly grateful. for the elevation of my craft and how people remind me how much my craft elevated from those simple spirals to, these larger pieces.
Okay.
And, so many more things I want to share, but we're gonna have to run it back.
Man. All right. So classic Detroit is different questions now.
Yeah.
Your very first car, year, make, and model, year you got it.
I was a 2005 Chevy Impala white.
Mm.
And I think I got that in 2013.
Okay. Where's the first place we went when you got it?
Ooh. Pretty sure I went for a ride to Belle Isle.
Classic Detroit. Classic Detroit. All right. So next one. You're the DJ at the end of the fireworks. Woodward and Jefferson. What 2 songs you playing?
That's tough. These days, like me now.
Yeah.
Me now.
You're the DJ.
I'm playing some Mama Piano.
Okay.
And I'm playing some I'm gonna play a hustle.
Okay. All right. And last question. You could rename Woodward after one Detroiter. Who would it be and why?
Charity Hicks.
Why?
My mentor. She gave her life for the cause, and she paved the way for me to follow in her footsteps and go to the United Nations and speak for and represent Detroit and represent really all melanated people in the U.S. Recently this year, and it just was a humbling experience to do that. And all of the conversations that we had on the second story of the Cass Corridor Commons about Black economic drill down studies and culture and how we can't allow these corporations and these people to run over us, and just her history with being just unapologetically beautiful Africana warrior for our people. I definitely, and then also of course she was one of the most important factors in bringing awareness to the water crisis and the other injustices that were happening in Detroit. It brought the UN special rapporteurs back to the city and really blew the lid off of, made it, it's really challenging for me to talk about it because of the whole story. But I'll just say this little short part. She was influential in making the water crisis a international thing. And it made it so that it was hard for it to be ignored.
Moving for water to being a human right. We love Mama Charity. Rest in peace. That was one of my closest as well. I love it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
All right. And as I say, we definitely got to bring you back. It's more to unpack. Thank you, my brother.
So much. I appreciate you and all the work that you do. Detroit is different. Kari Frazier, man. You're an icon in the city.
Man.
And appreciate you, man.
Humble. With that, peace.
Detroit is different. Detroit is different. Culture and life we live in.